right, everyone. Welcome back to our long-running campaign of The One Ring. You're stepping into Book 5, Chapter 1. If you want to go back and listen to the other chapters, the other books, it would be quite a slog. But this is as good a place as any to jump in. Blazing Blasters posts videos almost every day of live roleplay, so subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll see you around in our Discord. All right, without further ado, we're going to do a brief recap, and then we'll set the scene. Back to Middle-earth. Yep. And so it is that our tale continues through the years. From humble beginnings, our adventurers have reclaimed ancient fortresses, delved into tombs, journeyed across mountains, and eventually found themselves in the presence of the One Ring. Coming to Rivendell at last, through great peril and personal danger, our companions rested in the house of Elrond. It was there they gained respite, and their tale as companions drew to an end. While Vidar, son of Godar, prepared to journey home to the Iron Hills, Berendir and Aglaron returned to Fornost, and, gathering a band of wayward knights, marched south towards the Gap of Rohan, and into the lands of Gondor. But while Goodwill took, elf friend of Elrond and teller of tales, enjoyed his time in the Vale, he ever longed for home. He had seen enough of mountains and dense forests, and rather desired to be in his hobbit hole with a cup of tea and a warm fire at his feet. And so it was that upon a time Goodwill took deemed to return west to the Shire, and with him were Aravule and Arthanur. For lo, these many years the Prince of Cardolan and Master Artificer of Rivendell had become close to the Hobbit, and would not suffer him to make the journey alone. Furthermore, it may also be that after a time both the man and elf longed for the wild. For ever had the Dunedain watched the border of the Shire, and now, with the north secured, it may be that the Prince of Cardolan's mind dwelt on Tharbad, in the former capital of his ancestors. He was bade, along with Arthanur, to escort the hobbit home, and afterward turned south to where the Brandywine River crossed the road at Sarn Ford. For it was here that the enemy first crossed into the Shire, and it was here, so said Elrond, that the men of the West will respond in kind. But what does that mean? Only a sage knows. But let us rejoin our tale in Hobbiton on December 20th, 3015, the Third Age. And if ever your sound or screen skips, let me know and I can pause animations and stuff. I don't have many, but... Well, friends, I guess this is it. I suppose this is goodbye. Goodwill Tuk stands several paces outside his hobbit hole. His right hand is outstretched for a shake, and snow is freshly falling on his brown hair. Aravule, Arthanur, and Mr. Tuk have just finished a pipe, some of that fine stuff from Radagast. He also had a small wheel of cheese, braised duck with carrots and parsnips, and finished with honey cakes put away since last summer. But alas, now has come the time for endings, and so now a new beginning may take root. It is December 21st, one day before Yuletide in the Shire, and more than once Goodie has expressed his gratitude for getting him home. It's some adventure we've been on, but it's been too long since I slept in my own bed. Keeping up with princes and elves is taxing on my constitution. He smiles and shakes the snow from his woolly locks. If you have any need of a poet, a cook, or a burglar, you know where to find me, though I'd rather you keep that last bit on the hush. I just as soon reclaim my old reputation as a hobbit of good standing, who never did anything unconventional. Goodwill Took looks at Arthanur and Aravule and bows. I suppose we have already been noticed. It's best the both of you head on down south down the road, as Lord Elrond bade you. No need to get sappy. The time for poetry is over, and the time for rest by a cozy fire has started. Just to think, I've journeyed across mountains, into Greenwood the Great. My relations won't even believe it. Not to mention all the other tales, all that ghastly business at Dead Man's Dyke and the Barrow Downs. Yes, a cozy fire sounds just fine for now. I suppose I'll sit and think about Rivendell over a cup of spiced wine. He smiles and turns his back and walks through the snow and makes small footprints in the white powder. Goodwill opens the green door to his home and goes inside. The door clacks behind him. Inside, you can hear the flickering flame. You can see the flickering flames of a warm hearth and glad voices of his relatives. They rise and fall, fueled by warmth and love. Well, I'm home, Goodwill can be heard saying inside. But outside, snow is falling. The temperature is dropping and the Shire is cozy. But the lands of Middle-earth are in peril. And you hear a clack as Goodwill Took goes inside. I'll let you guys take it away.
Aravule stands in the snow, his hood pulled up above his head. He reaches up and grabs the edges and shakes it a bit, knocking off the snow that has fallen there. He does the same, rolling his shoulders, knocking off the snow onto the ground in front of the small hole in front of him. He sighs, looking through a window briefly, knowing that this might be the last time he sees Goodwill in quite a while, or if not forever. He thinks of all the peril and tragedy they had seen and the adventure and the fight against all the evil of the Dark Lord. And he knows that with Goodwill, he had been their spark of hope, their innocence in the darkness, even when it pulled at himself and others like Arthanur and Vidar and Aglaron and the others. He turns slightly and looks to the elf, nodding. Well, to the road again, I suppose.
Yes, Ranger, we have many tasks I suppose we must attend to. Arthanur has no hood, just a proud elven visage that he carries openly. Looking about, I'm sure the horses are a few steps away, not wanting to bring them right up directly to the door. Not a long ride, I imagine, but a cold one.
Yes, the snow is heavy. Perhaps it will be a cold winter, I do not know. He walks slowly over to the horse and takes a rag from his saddlebag and draws it across the saddle horn and the rest of the saddle to push off the snow before he easily steps up into the stirrup and throws his leg over into the onto the other side.
Arthanur follows suit and looks at the house one last time. before he turns and begins to head along the south road.
Yeah, Arv will he'll take this time particularly to contemplate to himself. He doesn't make idle chit-chat with Arthanur. That would not be probably in there to modus operandi, if you will.
All right. TT, you can see everything on this map, right? TD?
Yes.
Oh, cool. All right. So, Arthanur and Aravule set out from Goodwill's Hobbit Hole, and the snow is kind of falling on them, and they kind of get outside of town before the sun sets, and they have time to plan their journey. They can kind of look back. Of course, this is all covered in snow, but as they kind of start to leave the Shire via the south, they can kind of see the curves of the land and the hobbit holes, and it's very clear to them what they've been protecting this whole time. There's little chimneys with smoke rising from them, and you can see little flickering warm lights in all the windows, and even on the way out of town, maybe there's an inn or an ale house, and you hear those boisterous hobbit voices kind of kind of laughing. I'll let you role play this, and then we can do some lore checks before your journey.
Arthanur, as they're starting to go along the road in the snow, look over to Aravule as Aravule is contemplating and back forward. So, son of Cardlin, what do you imagine man's response will be here? I know that the nations of men tend to be fractious.
Aravule looks to Arthanur, matching the gait of their horses together. What do you mean exactly?
And just to ask out of character, but we're familiar with the battle that's taken place that was on my other character, the previous.
No,
You're
you
not?
probably have not known
Okay.
that.
Yeah. So he would I'll take a different turn then. Do you expect everyone to meet with their commitment to unite against the shadow? There are many words exchanged from what I hear about commitments, but you're more familiar with your kind than I am.
Aravule shrugs ever so slightly. Well, the men of the north, I believe, will be committed, those with a pure heart. But I cannot say of the other lands, such as Gondor and Rohan, and the wild lands, such as the Dunlendines, the Bjarnings, and beyond. Hopefully everyone, at the very least, will see it in their best interests.
We shall see. If nothing else, the numbers would serve to perhaps slow the enemy.
Yes, I do think that open warfare will come. And likely it will fall against Minas Tirith first, but we will do what we must in the north and the west. And if we, I suppose, must travel further south, then we will.
Let us hope that men can put aside their petty differences long enough, then.
Arvul only stays quiet for a moment, thinking, And so you have allied yourself with the woodland elves, then? They are ready to fight against the darkness? Has your high elven kin arranged that?
Arthanur kind of sneers a bit. Not sneers, but just kind of frowns. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with reports from the Mirkwood and our cousins there.
Well then, I hope the fractious elves can come together to also fight the shadow.
I'm sure our woodland cousins will hold their trees as they have. Not that their help will be necessary.
Aravule stifles a smirk just barely as they're riding along. Well, I think we could use all the help we could get, quite honestly. And that is why we go south, I suppose. Tharbad won't be far away. I'm interested to see how the rebuilding is going.
Arthanur would just kind of look out into the lands, not having much to speak on for Tharbad.
Yeah, Aravule would just continue down the road at this point.
As you strike the road, the moon rises and the silver light glints off the freshly falling snow. Looking over at Arthanur or Aravule, it's almost as if he has a shimmer of light about him as his white mare kind of makes tracks in the snow, and you guys crest the last hill leading out of Hobbiton and kind of descend down towards the White Downs. And I think at that point we'll just go ahead and change scene. We're having a new player join us tonight, which is always nice. All right. It is dusk, and the Vale of Imladris is cloaked in starlight. This is like, about a week before that previous scene. It is dusk, and the Vale of Imladris is cloaked in starlight. The trees are touched with frost or snow, and their boughs hang heavy. They sway in the moonlight, keeping time with some elven song. It is here that we find a lone rider. His cloak is drawn tight about him, protecting him from the chill of Middle-earth. But as he nears Imladris, a refuge of the elves, he may find that such a mantle is not needed, for the valley of Rivendell is temperate, even in the winter. Magic dwells here, and, for all those who suffer to enter, their hearts are lifted as they glimpse the ancient magic of the West that still lingers in Middle-earth. As Rudron crests the valley rim, he basks in the beauty below. Ancient architecture rises and falls in crisp cascades that blend tree and beam and home and hearth. Tiny roof tiles, set with care, reflect the moonlight, and newly risen stars glimmer in the gloaming pools that dot the valley floor. Nearing the stables, Rudron sees a tall elf, regal but kind. He wears a white robe trimmed with midnight blue and beckons the rider forth. "It is good to see you, Rudron, son of Redron. For you have no doubt suffered long to hear the news I now bring. Your king, your lord Aragon, will soon depart on an errand. His doom awaits him, and the powers of the West are yet silent as to the fate of he and his task. But we must trust to hope. Right now, Lord Aragon resides in the Hall of Fire. He requests your presence. And Galdor is there by the stables and kind of holds his hand out to help you down off of your horse, taking the reins of your horse if you would like.
And Rudran accepts, bowing, and as Galador grabs the reins and leads the steed forward, Rudran makes his way off the horse and just asks for a quick point of way to Aragorn, and then makes his way to him.
Galdor kind of hands the horse off to one of the stable hands and turns and beckons Rudran to follow him. This way, he says. And then he kind of just makes small talk with Rudran, although he may get the idea that he's probing for more information as the two of them kind of wind their way down into the valley and through the streets of Rivendell. As they walk and talk, Rudran can see these tall, graceful buildings on either side of him, almost like the trees of the forest themselves have come together to form these beautiful habitations of the elves. Galdor says, I trust your journey here was uneventful. It has been a treacherous few years on the outside.
It was quite fine, actually. I was able to make way with almost no impairment.
That is very well. Those with the blood of Numenor are ever stretched thin these days. They have long kept watch on the lands of the West. I dare say that Eriador enjoys much of its safety because of your bright swords and brave hearts. I don't think we see your kind enough here these days. It was not 2 days ago that a messenger arrived from the south. It seems that down there things are afoot. And he kind of lets his voice trails off kind of mysteriously.
And Rudran just sort of arcs an eyebrow and jostles a bit at his beard with his fingers, just running his fingers through as he begins to think on the events unfolding. But he remains silent and just follows Galdor.
As Galdor kind of leads him up through the streets of Rivendell, eventually you come to a large house at the end of an open street. In front of the house, a very large tree stands, stretching up towards the moonlight. Wide boughs of this kind of pale bark. The leaves are a mixture of yellow and red and orange. And Galdor kind of beckons you inside. It was good to see you again, Rudran.
And Rudran just nods as he passes.
And as Rudran enters into the House of Elrond, this is a place you no doubt would have been before, although perhaps your visits to Rivendell are many years in between. What looks like a messenger with a travel-worn cloak kind of exits and gives you a very respectful bow as you kind of enter inside. Kind of movie here. And Rudran, as you enter into the house. The main greeting hall is empty, but to the left you see a large door with an arch with two silver bows over it. And from inside you can see flickering fire, and you can hear music that sounds like it's coming from a harp, but you can also hear voices, sometimes heated voices, kind of rising and falling. And as you walk past, you do catch the visage of Aragorn, son of Arathor. And he kind of beckons you in. Rudron, come. It's been too long since we have last met.
And Rudron makes his way over, and on approach, he bows his head in deep reverence. And as he looks back up, just says to my lord Aragorn, yes, it has been far too long.
And I'm going to just give you a chance at this point to kind of tell us what your character looks like as he walks into this august chamber, what his appearance is, and maybe a little bit of background, just so anybody watching knows.
So Rudron, he is a bit scraggly looking as far as his hair is more, a little bit more unkept. His beard is fairly thick. He appears to be not quite a middle-aged man, and but being of Dunedain descent, he obviously ages much slower. He comes from a fair... His appearance, his dressings, you wouldn't have guessed. His father obviously is Redrun, and he is a fairly well-respected man of Cardolan, which is where Rudron was raised with his brothers and his sister. His sister being married off to Aravule's brother, actually, Aralan. But just his overall appearance in general, you would not guess that he was a man of any type of nobility, but instead more of a scout or a hunter. Again, carrying a bow and a long sword, and just looking like a hardy traveler.
Indeed, all that glitters is not gold. So as you approach the chamber, everyone there nods at you. As one of the line of Cardolan and one of the rangers, one of the Dunedain, who has likely been quite visible in this in the happenings over the last 10 years. You're familiar with Gandalf the Grey. Of course, you know Lord Elrond. Galdor has come in with you, and there's a very tall and graceful elf of extremely noble bearing on your left. This gentleman only as Glorfindel. And Aragorn kind of bids you to have a seat. Make yourself comfortable, son of Redron. There is grave news to discuss, and no doubt you wonder why I sent my man Halbarad to your aid in the forest. Indeed, the bright swords and valiant hearts of the Rangers are now being called to task. They have some duty for you if you would choose to accept it.
Rudron doesn't even hesitate. Of course. What would you have me do?
He says, I speak of your I think he'd be your brother-in-law, wouldn't he? I guess. Aravule?
Sort of. Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Nah, probably not. I mean, not technically,
removed.
but yeah.
By marriage. I speak of Arthanur, or Aravule. He says, I will soon be traveling south on a most grave task, and I fear the far sight of our kindred fails me, even in this utmost hour of need. It is imperative that the blood of the West shall not falter. Right now, the Dunedain are scattered about Eriador, some in the north, most in the south. We have but few messengers that have been sent to them. I would ask that you travel south, journey to the southern border of the Shire. For there, stay upon the road, and it is likely that you will meet Aravule and Arthanur. I would like you to relay this message. And he kind of brings out a parchment and says, it appears that war has already started far in the south. For days ago, a messenger arrived here and told me this sad news. And can you give me a lore check? Give me a lore check at 14. Great success. So in the south, there have been whisperings going on that the once great and powerful wizard Saruman has perhaps turned to evil, and it is likely this force who has made the first moves towards a war. You've also heard rumors that perhaps that one ring has been found and now dwells in Rivendell, but you're probably unclear about all the circumstances and the plans about how to deal with that whole situation. So I'll just let you go ahead and RP and ask for more information if you want, and if you don't want any more information, that'd be fine too.
So Rudran, he nods, understanding the task that he has been given, and then turns a curious eye to Aragon, and he begins to ask about Saruman. Lord Aragon, is it true about Saruman? Has he turned evil?
It is Rudran, son of Redron. And he looks to his left where Gandalf is there. He's smoking a long stemmed pipe and lets out of exhale, and this smoke ring kind of floats about his head, and it forms into this tower that's circled by concentric rings. And you are a very well-journeyed man, Rudron. You've no doubt seen Orthanc. It's like the picture of the Tower of Orthanc that's in smoke. And Gandalf says, "It is as we fear, Rudron. Even a most stalwart ally can fall to ill when he lusts after power. Nay, none of us are totally immune to the shadow, but some have stouter hearts than others, and it is to these that we trust the final task." And he kind of looks to Aragorn. "But your part in this play is no small thing, Rudron. For not all wars will be fought in the south. The enemy is making allies by the day, as we now know. It's important that the men and women of the West have someone to rally around. A hero. Someone who will have songs sang of them in the years to come. I speak of the company of Kingsfell. And you would know the company of the Kingsfell as the original party in this game that retook Fornost and aided with getting the ring and Frodo kind of from the Shire all the way to Rivendell. Go to them now and gather what allies you can. For there is a silver lining in this news. And kind of Gandalf looks all the way to his right, and Elrond says, though Saruman has stricken first, he perhaps was premature. And he kind of looks to Aragorn and then finishes. For his first blow, he was dealt a defeat, and he now licks his wounds in Orthanc, no doubt breeding more orcs and wargs to his service. Your aid will be needed, as will the aid of the Dunedain, ere the year is over.
Rudran, again, just bows in understanding and looks to Elrond and then over to Aragon. When must I leave?
And Aragorn looks at you and he says, take some rest, sleep tonight, and prepare on the morrow. And I think the next day after, it would be a good time to start your journey. If you need a new steed, we can outfit you with one, for your pace must be swift if you are to overtake the Lord of Cordalon.
It would be a great honor to have such a steed bestowed upon me, if Lord Elrond permits.
They all kind of nod and stand, and kind of waiting to come in next. You kind of up here, you see another elf and a dwarf, a tall, stern-looking man, and you see 4 little people, 4 halflings that seem very nervous to enter the Hall of Fire. Aragorn looks at them and then back to you. Rudron says, that will be all, son of Redron. The evening is still young, and we have other pressing matters to discuss.
Rudron will stand and bow to the table, and then as he looks up, he glances over, taking some stock of who is entering the room, and then walks back out.
It'd be very, very strange to see that collection of folks there in Rivendell, and you don't recognize any of them, but you probably put 2 and 2 together and realize that it's something to do with the one. Mm-hmm. And I'll let you kind of RP what you do over the next couple days, and then we'll get back to making our journey rolls.
So Rudran, having some degree of love and respect actually for his horse, he goes to the elves and just wants to make sure that his horse is being taken care of or is going to be left in good hands. Obviously, since these are elves, he kind of understands that they would be, but he just makes sure that he gets his carrots at this time of day, and he likes snap peas, and just kind of goes on about the likes, dislikes, what might upset his horse's stomach, and things of that nature. Just trivial, silly little things, but things that still bear some importance to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you do that, the stable hands are all very polite to you, and they make comments, to you about how they'll take very good care of your horse, and they'll outfit you with one just as good. But they very much understand in the back of their minds how you humans who live short lives kind of grasp at property and don't want anything to slip away. And so they make special care to jot down, all the intricacies of how to take care of your steed. So you can tell me what your new one looks like and what their name would be. I don't know if we set up the horse on your sheet yet, did we? Nope.
I don't think so.
Or you can think about it. Yeah, so you can get a war horse if you would like. I'll fill out the sheet so you can tell me what it looks like and that sort of thing.
So the elves one of the elves brings out another horse, a war horse to Rudran, and as they bring it over, they're speaking to him in Sindarin, and they tell him that this particular horse's name is Brenil, which is actually translates into as lady, and she is more of a chocolate colored horse with almost a slight white crown around her forehead and then a white mane, and those are pretty much her only distinctive features. And she comes up or she is led over to Rudran, and right away he knows that this will be a fine replacement, and obviously this horse will serve her part in under Rudran, and she is showing some signs of loyalty already as she begins to just kind of nuzzle against him as he strokes her mane.
Excellent. And so that night passes, and you make preparations the next day. And then the following day after that, I think you set out. All right, hit the road. So you're here in Ladris, and you kind of bright one morning. You mount your new steed, and you crest the Vale of Imladris, and the wind kind of whips at your hair and stuff. And you leave that temperate valley protected by the magic of the elves and descend into the more unforgiving climb of the troll shaws in the mountains, and you kind of descend a gentle slope as you travel west. And Brennel just you can see two jets of vapor kind of going from Brennel's nostrils, but she certainly doesn't seem daunted. She's excited for the journey. I'll let you RP that, and we'll make some travel rolls.
So as they head out to the road, Rudran bends forward, clasping Brennel along her neck and then sort of rubbing his fingers through her mane a little bit, and then patting her. He whispers into her ear, "Okay, Brennel, we have a task. Lord Aragon has given this to us himself. It is something of great import. Come, we must be away, with great haste," as he clasps the stirrups on her side and sort of whips the reins. "Hyah!" as he spurs her on.
You spur your way down those hills. A gentle snow starts to fall, and this is probably mid-December. And so, if you look at the timeline, that battle happened on the 5th of December. In order to get to the Shire, Arthanur and Aravule would have had to have left before that messenger arrived. So that's why they probably don't know what's going on down near the Gap of Rohan. So, okay. Rudron, your first travel roll in Tor, Blazing Blasters. All right. Before you go on a journey, you're able to make a lore check if you'd like. And a success with that lore check will grant you bonus dice for the journey. The target number for that one would be 14. Nothing. So before the journey, maybe you go up into the library of Elrond, and what happens? Do you get sidetracked by other stuff?
Yeah, Rudron's just sort of
Grab the wrong map.
Yeah, he's just distracted by the architecture and the way that the valley seems to remain temperate, and there's so much going on, and thoughts are racing through his head about this possible impending war. So he is just too distracted.
You do have herb lore as a trait, though. So let's say perhaps you got sidetracked reading about some of the healing herbs of Eriador and Eregion. And so the next time, like if you want to search for healing herbs, I'll give you a bonus die. So you can just mark that, just free text that in your sheet if you'd like. Because you are in Rivendell after all, there's a lot of resources at your disposal.
Sure, I've got it noted.
So the journey from Rivendell to Sarn Ford, you start off, and over the first week, you pass through the troll shaws. The trees are covered with a light snow. There are a couple sunny afternoons where the suns melt, and you can see the brilliant gold and red of the trees as you pass through the troll shaws, and you clip-clop about several days in your journey across the last bridge, kind of seeing the running waters go underneath you, and realizing that Eriador is only safe, and you can travel along this east road only because of the diligent work of the Dunedain. So make your first travel roll at a TN 14. You're going to have 3 of them overall. Oh, there you go. So I'll let you kind of RP as you kind of, hunt for small game along the road, and you pass the watchtower of Amon Sul on your right as you journey through the Weather Hills.
So Rudron is making his way through down this road, and they're making good time. But he knows that this weather is hard on both himself and on Brennel, and so he decides that it would be best to maybe set up camp for the night. And so he leads Brennel off the path just a little ways to try and conceal himself and his steed a little bit. And he goes out to forage a bit. And as he starts to venture out, he comes across these ruins. And he is fairly familiar with these, correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So he comes across the ruins and he decides that he is just going to avoid them as best he can. Again, searching for any type of herb or something for his horse to chew on, outside of just grass. And he begins to look for any rabbits or bray or anything small game that he may be able to take with his bow.
Yeah, you do have herb lore, and so you know that Aethalos, one of the healing herbs, grows around the areas where the men of Numenor used to dwell. You also know that Weathertop used to be the great watchtower of Aemon Sul, in the kingdom of Arnor long, long ago. But it's also in December, so finding the right types of herbs is going to be difficult. That being said, you do get a bonus die, so roll me a search or explore. I just do a search with the target number 16, and then roll an extra d6 after that.
Search with a 16, you said, and then what?
Mm-hmm. And if you fail, I'll give you another. Oh, you made it anyway. Still roll that d6. Roll me a d6. See if you get a great success. Nope. Yes, you. Although it's kind of frostbitten and partially withered, near the base of Aemon Sul, you do find a little patch of earth that's protected from the elements, like at the entrance of a cave, and you're able to bundle up some healing herbs and tuck those into your saddlebag. And then you start off the next morning on your way. All right, give me another travel check at 14. Ooh, 8. So I think, let's see. So in the winter, trying to remember how much endurance loss you take. Winter 3.
Okay.
Yep. So raise your fatigue by 3. That's travel fatigue.
Yep.
And what happens is, kind of as you pass through a very marshy area just east of Bree, you kind of get all of your clothes wet and stuff, and you get a little bit frostburned. Kind of maybe rethinking what this whole journey is about to begin with. So.
Now having those healing herbs in his back pocket, would that be something that he could rid himself of that fatigue?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. No, okay. Just something that I wanted to keep in mind. Just curious.
And eventually you kind of pass south of Bree. And on your right, as you head down the Greenway, you see Captain Snow, the Barrow Downs. Why don't you give me a lore check at 12? So as you kind of pass the Barrow Downs on your right, kind of traveling south along the Greenway, the temperature seems to drop quite a bit. You get a bit of a chill, and every once in a while, kind of, you get the feeling that behind you, like somebody is watching you, and you kind of turn around on your horse, and there's nobody there. So I want you to give me a shadow test at TN 14.
Where is that at?
You roll that off of your sheet. So the way you do that, I'm just taking you through some of these just to kind of get you used to rolling. So if you go on sheet, and there it should say, let me open up one. It is Valor. So if you click on Valor, it'll roll it for you. There's a little dice icon there. Perfect. So as you journey south, it gets colder and colder, and now you start to realize you've been away from folks for a very long time, and you start to feel that this journey will not end, and the cold starts to seep into your bones. Give yourself 1 shadow point for that.
Permanent?
No, permanent shadow is only gained unless I tell you it's permanent, or after you suffer a bout of insanity. The way that happens is if, for example, your total shadow equals your hope, and then you roll an eye, but you're not anywhere near that.
Okay.
You haven't used any hope points, right? You should have 10.
No, I don't know how I could have.
Yeah, your hope point should be at max, so whatever you started with is what you should have.
Okay, got it.
All right, finally, you're kind of in the last stretch. Heading down the Greenway, you've turned a slight right, and you're heading north towards Sarn Ford, and so give me another travel roll with a TN of 14. Your first Gandalf. So you find your way back to the road.
So Rudran, having felt a bit of the heavy burden of this task and the bit of unease in his heart as he has journeyed on by himself for quite some time, comes back across the path, and he knows now he's going back in the right direction. His spirit is lifted slightly as he spurs Brennel on as they continue on up the trail.
Yep. So eventually you kind of head north, kind of leaving little footprints of snow behind you. Far to the north on your right, you see this ruins of an old tower here, almost probably a couple miles away. I want you to give me a lore check at 16 for that one. So not only do you not know what that is, I would like you to give me another shadow test this time with a TN of 16. I'll let you kind of RP that. Oh, yeah. So give yourself another point of shadow.
So far off in the distance,
Mm-hmm.
Rudrin sees that tower, and he's not really sure what to make of it, and he's not really sure what it is, but he can't help but have this sense of foreboding and sort of these somber feelings that are beginning to creep into his heart and his mind again. So he tries to not make eye contact with it, but it's there, and he knows it's there, and it's ever looming as he continues on his path.
You can actually see far to the north. You see like a big cloud of crows like circling over that tower, and as night falls, kind of as you near the ford, you can hear the howling and baying of wolves as the temperature starts to drop, and you get closer and closer.
You said the wolves are getting closer?
No, just the sound is getting a little bit closer from time to time, or as you get closer to the ford.
So Rudrin, hearing that, he's a bit undecided. Again, with this sense of this ill sense in his heart, and now the sounds of wolves, perhaps fast upon him. He's not entirely sure, but he decides to spur Brennel on, driving her hard up the road to try and flee this area.
All right, and we'll move on to our other party here. Your journey is a good bit shorter, Arthanur and Aravule, and I'll let you kind of RP that out. And you're only going to have a single travel check at a TN 16 as you kind of make your way down the road towards Sarn Ford.
Yeah, Arvul is on his horse. He'll ride forward. Pretty much just staying to the road at this point unless he has any inclination that anything's going on. But he does not seem bothered by the snow particularly at this point. We're doing lore now, or
Travel. You can do lore if you want to get a bonus.
Yeah, well, I do.
No reason not to unless you roll an eye.
Bam.
Boom, you get 2. Ghost, do you want to roll lore as well? See if you could get a bonus for that.
Sure.
Otherwise, you'll take 3 travel fatigue.
What did you say the TN was?
Hey, there it is.
What did you say the TN was for the travel roll? Is it 14 or 16?
It's 16.
Man, I'm good.
But you have the bonus die.
Normal success for me.
So Arthanur would fail miserably with an eye. I'm just going to keep that eye in my back pocket for that one. So I'll let you guys kind of RP that as you kind of come closer to Sarn Ford. And as you do go along that road, every once in a while there'll be like a large stone cairn or a really ancient-looking relief carving. I'll let you role play.
Narvel just continues upon the road. He eyes anything he sees warily for a moment, but keeps going. He doesn't seem particularly burdened by the travel of even in the winter.
Arthanur would occasionally brush flecks of snow away, but at a certain point, he begins to blink rather quickly as if he's thinking of something. His brow furrows, and he puts his hand to his head, and there's a small bead of sweat actually that comes off of the edge of his brow. He wipes it away rather quickly, continuing to go down the trail.
As you go closer and closer to Sarn Ford, the temperature maybe is letting up just a little bit, and eventually, maybe mid-afternoon, on the last day of the journey ahead, you kind of hear the rush of water. And I'll go ahead and see if I can move you here. There you go. Too many tokens to go through. There we go. Yeah, yep. Eventually, you do make your way to Sarn Ford, and you hear the rush of water. And let's go ahead and change. And your horses kind of stop in front of the bridge. But then from far to the south, you hear thundering hooves, kind of sound of hoofbeats approaching.
Aravule looks to Arthanur and he stands up on the stirrups to try to get a better view to see if he can see down the road. Is the bridge as depicted a big hole in it?
No, the bridge is intact. I should have fixed that.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's intact. It's maybe a little bit wider than depicted there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a decent sized bridge that maybe 2 to 3 horses can fit abreast.
Mm-hmm. Arthanur will squint his elvish eyes to see what he can see, if he can see it in the distance at all.
Somebody has keen-eyed, I believe. Or no, that's Root that has it.
All I have is fair and proud.
Nope. You do not see anything as of yet, but the hoofs kind of get louder and louder. And Rudron, actually, though, you are keen-eyed, so you can kind of see up the path, and far ahead in the distance, you see this gleam of water rushing that you know to be Sarn Ford, and you see just 2 tiny silhouettes of people on horseback. At this point, the howling has mostly died down. Both your range, your senses, and you don't know if it's in the back of your brain. You're still hearing it, but you are still maybe a little bit worried. And what does it look like as you kind of approach the river?
So Rudran, seeing the bridge and the water, and then seeing those silhouettes, he pulls back on the reins gently to slow Brennel And as they come to the sort of the start of the bridge, he brings Brennel to a full stop, and he draws his bow and nocks an arrow as he points over in the direction of Aravule and Arthanur. He just spurs Brennel forward, so she will slowly make her way across the bridge.
And are you trying to stay behind cover or just approaching cautiously? If you're just approaching the bridge, they'll probably be able to see you.
Yeah, just approaching the bridge very cautiously, with, like I said, with his bow drawn and with an arrow knocked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Arvul just is sitting on the other side of the bank of the river, just watching. He would be listening for the hooves and just kind of tracking anything that comes close, pretty much.
Return TD.
So yeah, Rudran still with his bow pointed in that direction. He begins to make his way slowly across the bridge atop of Brennel. And as he gets closer, he really squints and sort of strains his eyes to see if he can make out any more than just silhouettes.
Yeah, why don't you just give me just give me an awareness. Since you have keen-eyed, it'll only be a 12. Yeah. So great success. You can see silhouettes there on horses. You can see one is a man, and from across the river you can see that one is a very tall and proud elf.
So Rudran, seeing this, he just calls across to the two of them. Strange company you keep in these times.
So did he recognize me? Do I recognize his voice or anything like that?
Yeah, you may recognize his voice. I don't think he can tell exactly who you are from this far away, but he can definitely tell you're a man and an elf.
Yeah.
Which, elf equals good.
Yeah. Aravule calls back. Strange time for strange company, fellow. Come forward.
And Rudran will put his arrow back in his quiver and put his bow away. He hops off Brennel and begins to lead her over to the pair of them. Still somewhat cautious, but knowing that there's at least an elf there, he's not as concerned.
Till you meet him. Yeah, Arvul will just wait for him to get closer. As he begins to take in his visage, he looks to Arthanur. A kinsman, I think. A Dunedain, at the very least.
That will make things a bit easier for the travel should we come into any trouble. Not have to worry about you so much.
He looks to Arthanur. Worry about me? I'm not the one who's fallen and been resurrected.
And a lucky thing that you had not fallen too. They may not have found you worthy.
Perhaps. He just looks back to the bridge.
You know this one?
He's trying to get a better look at him. As he approaches, he nods. I do. He is was my brother's good brother.
Brother's good brother.
Married to his sister.
So he has family then.
Innocence.
You know him well? Is he worth anything on the road?
All Dunedain are worthy. I do not know him particularly well.
I suppose we shall see.
Aravule stands in his stirrups and waves a hand. Rodron, is that you?
Rudran looks over, squints a little bit. It is. Lord Aravule, is that you?
Aye. Come closer so I can see your face. It has been many years.
And Rudran approaches and he bows his head in deep respect and puts his hand across his chest. Lord Aravule.
Rodron, it is good to see you. Fortunate. Not coincidence, I gather. He looks to Aravule and nods. Looks to Arthanur. This is Arthanur, an elf of the Hell of Imladris.
Rudran will nod his head in respect to Arthanur as well, and then he looks back to Aravule. Coincidence it is not, my lord. I am sent from Rivendell. I come bearing a message. And he grabs the parchment out and hands it over to Aravule.
Aravule nods and pulls a glove off his left hand with his other hand and reaches over and takes the note, unfolding it and reading it, and doing so where Arthanur could look over his shoulder to read it as well if he chose to.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, the note basically, relays the goings on down at the River Ison. It may be addressed to Arthanur and Aravule. Prince Aravule, Lord Arthanur. It would say something like, it is with a heavy heart that I write to inform you that events in the south have progressed more quickly than we have foreseen. It appears that Saruman the traitor has struck the first blow in this great war. A grand battle has been fought near the Gap of Rohan, but alas, it seems that the West was with us. The White Wizard suffered a great defeat, but he will soon, no doubt, redouble his efforts and soon be back, and in greater numbers. For now, he licks his wounds in Orthanc, but I bide you. Gather, men of the West. Make ready strongholds of old. I do think you know of what I speak. The time may come when it is when the remnants of the bloodline of Cardillon are called to their duty. And it has Elrond's and Aragorn's signature on it.
Nerval sighs Did he know of Saruman's betrayal as of yet? I don't
Yeah.
recall. Okay. He looks to Arthanur. It looks
'Cause
like
you left
Mhm.
after the Council of Elrond.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happened in
Yeah.
October.
Okay. Aravule looks to Arthanur, offers the note over to him if he wants it, and says, "Well, it looks like our way is south then, to Tharbad."
Arthur looks it over. It appears that, despite the influence of the wizard, the realm of man held strong for now. You bring ill tidings, messenger, but it is better to know than not know, I suppose. And Arthur would pocket the note.
And Rudin just said her a bit side, and then sort of up a little bit, drawing himself to his full height, and just he stands rather rigid, and he looks to Aravule, and my lord, so we head south then.
It does appear so. He considers for a moment. There will not be anyone to gather from here to there, I don't think. We could head back to Fornos, but that might take some time. And they are rebuilding themselves. It will be interesting to see what the Dunlings have done, anyway. Hopefully Tharbad is being rebuilt as I have asked. We will have to rely on the men of the hills once more, it seems. Unless we can gather all of Rohan. But that would take us perilously close to Orthanc and the wizard.
Rudran looks to Aravule, indeed, and it may reveal our hand too soon.
He shrugs slightly. Well, it matters not. We will see what we see when we're in Tharbad, and decide what we must do. There's really not much more we can do, to be quite honest. These are the men we have to fight with. The line of the Dunedain and Numenor are not many. We cannot field an army, and Gondor is far away and faces the eye from Mordor directly. As I said, if we could rouse Rohan, it would be, well, it would be a good thing, but the Dunlendings and the Rohirrim, they do not see eye to eye. Old hatreds linger. He just pulls his reins and says, "There's not much more to discuss then, I think. South it is." Unless the elf has something he wishes to add.
No. It is there we must fortify, as it says here. I know not what we'll be able to do with that mound of rubble, but if it is the wish of Lord Elrond and your Lord Aragorn, then I suppose we must go.
Then we shall. And he would immediately pull his horse around and begin heading towards the bridge.
And as you do that, I'd like all of you to give me a perception check at, or awareness. I would say perception. Awareness at 14.
Oh, yeah.
These Rangers! Elf is rolling like not the best tonight.
Standard.
Not standard. You usually kill it.
We're not fighting
Yeah,
yet.
there's not. Yeah, he's not fighting.
So, you guys, you hear the clip clop of your horses, kind of as you kind of get ready to cross the bridge, and then from upstream, up towards the stream, kind of winds northwards and a little bit to the east, and kind of goes up into the towards that tower that Redron saw, and the two rangers kind of hear voices, kind of really kind of harshly talking, and they see they hear splashing of oars, and you can hear somebody going, careful there, mate, it's nigh freezing, and this here stretch of the river is the only one thawed out on account of the swift current. Crash the boat and we go for a swim. Or I guess you'd rather trudge the leagues back to camp in the snow? Ha! We gotta get this stuff back to the boss. By making him rich, we gonna be rich. And them thick-headed orcs back at the tower, they'll never know what happened. Ha ha! And they kind of around the bend, and you can kind of see them kind of gently kind of drifting towards the bridge.
Yeah, immediately when he hears that end of the conversation particularly, he waves Ruderin to, I guess uses some special ranger hand signals for him to set up with his bow and prepare, and Aravule looks back to Arthanur and slightly rolls his eyes at the conversation, and he just gallops his horse up towards the bridge.
Yeah, Arthanur would join him on the bridge.
Rudrin would position himself, giving himself the best vantage point that he might be able to find, and set up with his bow.
And as you kind of go up onto the bridge, your silhouettes are plainly visible to them as they round the bend, and they kind of bring the boat around broadside and kind of start to drift towards you. And eventually kind of bring it to ground kind of on the shoal here. And one of them kind of yells out. You can hear him kind of talk in hushed tones first, like, oh, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. And then this guy from the back kind of steps out of the boat. Oi there, travelers! Well met. It's a bit of a cold out for a ride, though, don't you think? And you can see, like, there's bundles of stuff kind of in the bottom of the boat.
Is it well met? I'm not so sure. I could not help overhearing your conversation. Did you say something about orc?
Orcs? I didn't say nothing about orcs. And he kind of looks to the boat, to the two men there, and said, did either of you blokes hear anything about orcs? I said, oi, it's cold. That's all I said, sir.
Are you calling the ranger a liar and saying that rangers don't have keen ears?
Ranger, eh? And kind of looks up towards Aravule. Oh, that explains it. That explains why you're out in the snow, gallivanting about. Your reputation's no better than my friend Bill here.
Yes, we have a poor reputation. What do you say about elves, then? And he looks over to Arthanur.
I am curious to hear this opinion as well.
These two kind of splash off the boat. Well, I don't have much to say about elves. Can't say I've ever met one in the flesh.
You have now, and he will step forward a few paces on the horse. If you have any respect, you will answer this man's question.
And then that happens, you hear another low howl of wolves. Well, yeah, the time for questions. There's a time for questions, and there's a time to letting people go about their business. Ranger, elf, glad to meet you, but if you would just as soon let us pass, we'll be on our way. It's a cold winter, and I hear there are wolves about.
This is true. And what business will we be letting you get back to exactly?
Kind of looks around. Rudron, you have keen-eyed, so you can see that all the men do seem to be armed. But then also, Rudron, that top of that tower that you saw far in the north and east, that cloud of crows that was swirling about it seems to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, almost as if it's coming towards your direction.
And Rudran will sort of break position, and he informs Arthanur and Aravule of what he's seeing right now.
What's he say?
Look.
Sorry, with the murder of crows making its way this way, or the cloud, as it were, then the men appear all to be armed.
Aravule looks to Rudron and then to Arthanur. Agents of the enemy, no doubt. Both man and beast, likely.
Hey, I ain't no enemy, and I don't mean to be no hound's lunch either.
Well then, I suppose simply let me inspect what's in your boat, and then you can be on your way.
All right. Come on, boys. Let's let the ranger inspect what we have in the boat. But just remember this, Ranger: finders keepers. You ain't no sort of constable down in these parts.
He laughs. No, I am not a constable. I am a king.
That's rich, sir. Then you can use lordly if you want.
I kind of want to use intimidate on these guys. I don't know if there's like a out of combat kind of use for it.
Are you gonna awe them, Ted? Is that what you're gonna do?
Oh no, I'm gonna use my battle die, man. No, no. He just hops off, and I use forthright and lordly, both, I guess.
Yep.
He just walks towards them very slowly, or he hops off his horse and walks towards them, and he says, "Although you do have arms on your side, I think it would be unwise to unsheath them with me next to you. Very unwise. The elf, he is quite the warrior."
And as you do that, they do seem to, as you get down off your horse, it's clear like how you almost tower over them. You seem to grow in stature as you get closer to them, and Arthanur behind you as well, almost glimmers with this light, and they take a step back and very well, inspect our wares, but like I said, finders keepers, we're but lowly treasure hunters.
Yes, lowly treasure hunters that speak of orc, and not in outright fear. He walks over to the boat. Oh, You actually get in and just begin, like, tossing it.
As soon as you toss, like there's a tarp, and underneath you catch the glitter of silver and gold, and you have a lore of Arnor, I believe, right?
I do.
Yep. So, bunch of old relics of Cardalon. There's like a broken shield there. There's a chalice. There's some jewelry, all that sort of stuff.
Aravule frowns. And where did you get this?
I suppose there ain't no fooling you. I'm gonna come clean. Oh, the tower to the north there. Well, we fell in with some rather unsavory folks, but we cleaned them out good of their treasure. And then you all kind of hear, and on both sides of the river, step slathering, bloodthirsty, what look like wolves to you.
Yeah. Aravule hops off the boat and immediately kicks it as best he can, pushing it into the river again, without the men inside, clearly. Get on the bridge, you three.
And as this happens, like that cloud of crows keeps getting larger and larger. Rudron, it dawns on you. You have a beast lore, and these may not be run-of-the-mill field crows, but rather the Crabane of the south, known to be servants of the forces of shadow there.
Okay, yeah, and Rudran, having that realization, calls out to Arthanur and Aravule that they're... What'd you call them again?
Crabane.
My lords, the Crabane...
There's naught we can do for it now. There's no hiding. If it seeks us, it will find us.
Yeah, you just these things kind of get closer. These two kind of start to cross the bridge.
Yeah, Aravule will run over and mount his horse again.
Cool. All right. Why don't you guys roll battle die or do volleys?
I'm not gonna do a volley. I'm
You're jumping on your horse.
freaking horrible at it, yeah. I will roll battle die, though. I will roll some battle. I got me some battle.
Yeah, you do.
I'll do a volley.
That was a shit roll.
Yeah. I'll do a volley as well. I thought I had something where I got an extra volley.
There's certain rewards and stuff you can take, but I don't think you advance those.
So I have 2 battle die, I think, coming.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna do a volley.
All right. Set your stance to rearward before you do a volley. And you guys can take shots.
Shooting at the wolves on the far right, the one that's lined up with me.
Which one?
It goes wide.
Okay, yeah, and Rudran is actually shooting over here.
There you go.
So it's a regular success. Damage is 5. So from behind the bushes, you hear "Oh, oh," as it starts kind of circling the embankment and heading towards you guys. All right. You can, the rest of you guys can roll your battle die if you haven't already, and choose your stance that you're going to use for the battle.
I get 1.
Arthanur gets 1 bonus die.
Yeah, where is the
So you're trying to roll battle
yeah.
Under skills.
skills.
Oh, I just missed it.
Arthanur going green as usual.
Yes, as always.
All right, so Rudron gets no bonus die.
Red is forward, correct?
Yep, red is forward. And I'm gonna let you guys go first. These guys are kind of backing up, and they're all kind of drawing weapons. You don't know what side they're going to come down on.
So are we using like all the horse rules from the Rohan book, or no? I don't really know. I don't know them offhand, so
You can if you want. For a lot of that stuff, you're going to have to kind of have some open space and that sort of thing.
okay.
So it might not be the best for here.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know them anyway. I'll research them after this and figure it out. So Aravule rides just towards this wolf, and he's going to. The first thing he's going to do, he raises up in his saddle and yells out, "For Cardalon! For wrath! For ruin!" And I'm going to do my intimidate, obviously. So use battle. That's a TN 10 plus their highest attribute of all of them. Whatever that would be.
It's usually their tribute level, so it's 3, so 13.
Okay. Oh, extraordinary success. So that is actually like... Hold on. So I take 4 hate points. Or a number of points equal to the intimidating character's valor rating, which my valor's 3.
Yeah, so 4.
So 4.
It takes away, that will take away all of its hate points for this one.
I think it does everybody too.
Does it?
I believe so. That's kind of how it reads. If you look at it, it says, hold on. Damn. It says, well,
I thought it only did it for the 1.
yeah, may intimidate his foes with the display of, okay, when it's his turn to take out may forgo his chance to make an attack roll all battle instead. So it says it's the highest attribute level of all foes. Here is just say it really doesn't.
Your enemies. It says your enemies.
Yeah, but it doesn't say the enemy's morale has been shaken. That's singular though, right?
I'll just take it away on him.
Yeah, that's fine. And if he's, I don't even know if he'll, I guess he wouldn't flee anyway, right? That's just cravenly. He just, then he's gonna just make an attack as well, because he can do both with royalty revealed.
That's that. Didn't quite get the edge.
Nope.
So 7. That's your riding.
Yeah, one-handed, yeah. Yeah, he just swings down and cuts it on top of the, in the base of the neck almost, and blood just flies everywhere as it does so.
Yeah, your sword kind of comes up with fur and blood on it as you kind of swirl your horse around, and the wolf kind of dashes past you, snarling, and circles back around to make a go at your leg. Arthanur, you're up.
So I'm thinking that this one's coming at me.
Sure.
Yeah. So keeping an eye on these three, because I know that we don't trust them very much. Arthanur will take a cautious stab at the wolf that approaches him with his spear.
Oh, there you go.
As usual.
In combat. How's it look as that one goes down?
So Arthanur takes up position with his spear and shield, and sets the spear over top of the shield. As he's waiting for the wolf, it prances and bounces forward, leaps just the wrong way, and I catch it as it dives, predicting where it would go, stab it through the mouth, and watch it fall to the ground. And then look to the men that had gotten off of the boat, trying to get a gauge on what their next move is.
They have fear in their eyes, and you see them start to go for the weapons. Rudron, son of Redron, what are you doing?
Rudron's going to actually...
These two are dashing across the bridge.
Right, and Rudron, having already loosed a volley at this one here, and now seeing them come across the bridge toward the backside of Arthanur, he's going to let loose another arrow at this one. And as they're darting across the bridge, his arrow shoots clean over and lands harmlessly in the water.
Splash! The wolves dash across the bridge. And this is where that eye comes into play. Seeing Arthanur engaged, these three bastards fall upon the elf.
They're never gonna hit him.
One with dagger raised, the other with a sword.
I don't know why you'd say something like that, Ted. Do you remember what we're playing? Okay, well maybe.
I just know your character.
Ooh.
Close.
2 misses. And this one.
Here's the eye.
Let's see. I did have him. Hang on, let me set his macro up real quick. I can do it. Here's how fast I can do it. I won't even do a sound.
Incredible speed.
That's right.
You must be a great and agile acrobat.
The speed of Shadowfax is upon thee.
Oh no! I got my caps. It's capped.
It's on recording.
It's capped. Yeah. Let's see if now it works.
We caught him, boys.
You caught me.
Caught the invincible tater.
For that, come on, eye.
Yeah, it's gonna be the eye now.
It
Called
is. Oh man!
Had to be.
Yes.
Had to be.
That's what. That's only 5 damage, though, right?
It's an edge, though.
Edge, yeah.
Edge, roll it.
Do we get double eye to start it? No, we do not.
Boom. Unfazed, but cut a little bit as this slant-eyed southerner stabs you with his sword.
That's enough to weary me, though.
Squint-eyed southerner. That's what they're called. Squint-eyed southerners.
So it's at fatigue, right? Where you are weary. Yep, I'm weary then.
Weary.
Now it gets hard.
Travel roll.
Rudron, this is going to use a hate point to use Great Leap to dash across the bridge and leap at somebody who is in a rearward stance, and he attacks Rudron.
Miss.
Miss.
Auto miss.
The other one's going to do the same thing. He's going to use his hate point.
Not a bonus for us?
Nah, he just missed. Auto miss.
Both miss.
That one too.
So you're behind you, Arthanur, like Rudron's back there. He shot off a couple of bow shots, and now these wolves are falling upon him. All right, and Aravule. Back
Yeah.
up.
No, he's got to go still. The guy I'm engaged with needs to go.
Oh, he does.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
With my whopping 10 TN. Weak hit. Oh, my TN's 14. Oh, because of parry.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just moves the horse aside as it tries to get up on him.
You're up again.
Boop, boop. I'm going to open.
I will maintain
Oh, he
defenses.
was.
Yeah, well, I mean, every time I'm like, oh, I'm gonna finish him off with forward, I never do. So I think I'll just go to open. I only went forward so I could use intimidate.
You have your bonus dice too. Oh, and you can only use one of those per roll. I've been doing that wrong for a year and a half.
Okay.
2 years.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna use it yet. I'm just gonna. He just swings down on the thing again.
Yeah.
Great success.
What does that look like? Let's see.
He just swings back down with all the weight from being on the horse and just chops its head straight from its body. He turns and wheels his horse to look at the men falling upon Arthanur. That was a mistake.
He turns to you and says, "Well, I think the boss is going to be mighty happy with the prize we bring him back. Something better than a trinket to a chalice. How about the head of a prince, eh?"
Yeah, he just stares at them.
Arthanur.
And I will stab at that one. You don't look and talk to someone while you're in combat. Arthanur will try to take a stab at it. I'll use my bonus die because I'll probably need it. Which one was the one that bespoke like that?
You need Barondeer. This guy's.
Barondeer, he has like.
And then I'll use my bonus die.
That should get it. Come on. Come on.
You got that hope too, remember?
And then I roll. Bonus dice, bonus 1.
No, you
Roll
just.
extra dice. Bam.
Nice. Oh, great success.
That's what.
That would be... Yes. I believe so. Oh, wait, no.
No edge, though, right? Yeah.
No edge.
So almost, you lop off his left arm. You're getting second age on him.
Yeah, Arthanur chops through him and says, "Pay more attention to when you are fighting." And keeping eyes on the rest of them. "Ranger, the messenger needs your aid. I will hold things here until you are finished with those wolves."
Alright. Rudron, son of Redron.
So can Rudran just draw his longsword and take a hack?
Yeah, there's no... You can switch weapons pretty easily. It's not...
Okay.
It's not D&D.
Yeah. Rudran is going to move forward and then swing with his longsword at this one here.
Now be sure to set your stance to a different stance besides a rearward.
Yep, I set it to forward.
Cool.
Doesn't look like it.
Oh,
Does not look like it.
yeah. Sometimes that red doesn't
Oh, really?
change.
Hmm.
Let me do it again. There you go.
Going all out.
Going all out.
We're about to learn some harsh lessons.
Yeah.
That was weird. It did something funky there for a second.
So that's a hit, and that is. Are you two-handing your sword?
No, he's still up on his mount, so he's only
so, yeah.
the one hand.
One-handed. Okay. So that's 5 damage for that one.
Was that the one that leaped at him?
Both of them did.
Or the one that he shot first? Was that this one?
The one that you shot is dead already.
Oh. Well, it looks like they're both attacking me.
I think
So-
he meant to shoot across the bridge when he was talking earlier.
Oh, were
Yeah,
you?
I did. I did shoot across the bridge. No, I shot the one that was over here.
Okay. They're still alive though. Not much. They're bloodied, but still alive.
Okay. So the wolves descending and leaping at Rudran, he quickly draws his longsword and just begins to hack down and keep them at bay a little bit while attempting to do as much damage as he can.
These things like gnashing at your horse's haunches and stuff, and it's kind of snorting. All right, this wolf's dead. Forward person goes first. So these wolves fall upon Rudran, kind of leaping up at his flanks, trying to take a bite of this guy's flesh. Ooh! Not good. So you take 6 damage from that.
Forward stance.
So 6 damage.
The TN was 10. Doesn't it, his TN is 10 plus parry? Doesn't have any parry? That doesn't look like it.
His parry is 3.
So shouldn't it be 13?
It should be.
I think forward's like 7.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was 10. Okay.
That's open, I think.
I can double check.
No, you're right.
It's 7, 10, 12, and then like I think rearward and defense are both 12.
He has a shield listed too, which
But he's on ours.
probably wouldn't be wielded right now. But combat battleboard. Forward combat is TN6,
Yikes!
so that's why it's 10. 3 parry and then the shield.
So it would probably be 9 right now.
No, it would be right. I mean, whatever. It's
yeah,
calculating
well,
it.
The TN to hit would be 9, so the
Right,
damage you would take 6 damage.
I'm just trying to figure out why the TNs are wrong.
Actually,
Macro.
it would be extraordinary success. It would be 6. It'd be 9 damage, so you'd be down to 20 endurance. And that TN is right, Tet.
Yeah, mostly I was just curious about mine, why mine was 14 in forward stance.
So you have
It says a
parry-
plus 9. I don't know what that
parry
would
5 and forward stance.
I mean, I still didn't get hit, but I don't think.
So, what's your parry? 7?
5.
5. So should have been 11, right? So your TN to hit should have been 11.
Yeah, it's getting a plus 9 from somewhere. I'm just not sure where.
Let me try to see. Yeah, we can figure it out next time, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
So 5. That was from open stance. You were in open. That last round, you were in open stance. That's why. 5 plus 9 is 14.
Oh, okay. I wasn't in forward anymore.
No. Remember how you went to blue?
Yeah.
Yeah, you switched. That's right. Yep.
All right, let's see what the other one does. Misses. Gandalf.
Thank you, wise wizard.
Aravule doesn't have anybody engaged with him yet. You want to move to engage somebody? And then
Yeah,
next
I'm
round?
gonna engage these wolves.
Okay. So you can say you can peel one of those off. So you have one, and then Redron has one.
Okay.
And the other ones are on Arthanur still.
Yep. I'm gonna attack with the battle die. Bonus die, I should say. So I'm at 1 bonus now. Swings his bastard sword at the thing. Use my bonus die here.
6.
Whoops, I rolled a 5. I don't know why I did it. It's good enough to hit anyway, whatever.
It's good enough to hit. It's 9.
Yeah. I would be on my sword, so probably 7, honestly.
All right, so you lop off like its front paw.
Yeah, he just swings straight down from his saddle.
Actually, I don't think you should have attacked that round because it was the bad guy's turn. That's fine. We'll skip next. Because the wolf.
Yeah, I haven't been attacked twice yet. So it's
These three
still
over here.
Yeah, these three have
okay.
to attack Arthanur.
Yeah, just don't. I won't go next time. It's fine.
Here goes the squint-eyed southerner. A miss. Dagger boy. Miss. Sword boy. Ah, the dance of blades. And that's all the bad guys for now. What happens is that cloud of Krebane, though, is getting larger and larger. And you see 2 giant clouds of them kind of appear over the trees, and you hear them squawking as they start to fly towards you. And you're up, Rodron.
Rudran will take another swing at the wolf next to him.
Nice.
good night.
Make it so, Redron. What does it look like as you put him out of his furry misery?
So Rudran was swinging down to his left, and then as he comes up, he looks over and sees Aravule, who is charging over, and it temporarily distracts the wolves, and one of them moves off to his left, and as it does so, it sort of fumbles a bit, and taking advantage of its misstep, Rudran drives the tip of his sword straight down, piercing the skull of the wolf as it just drops lifeless to the ground.
Yeah,
Nice.
Then I think the thing can attack me.
Oh,
Oh,
That's not good.
and an edge.
yeah. So 9, take 9.
Alright, let me figure that out real quick. I'm weary.
Ah, it doesn't have any hate left. Crap.
Okay. Roll protection, yeah?
Yep,
Can I use a battle die for that or bonus die?
absolutely.
Alright, I will.
Oh!
Oh, man. Well, I guess I gotta roll it anyway. Not that that matters. Alright.
Not good, no good.
Is that I'm wounded, yeah?
Yep.
It is.
Arthanur.
I'm gonna try to finish the one that's missing his arm. The one that's been disarmed.
Dolph.
Yeah, so Arthanur just drives him to the ground with his spear. Nothing overly painful, just instant death, hopefully. And just stamps him straight through the chest, kicks him to the ground, brings his spear back to rest on the shield, looks at the other two. The ranger did warn you. You should have listened.
They start to kind of back up through the thicket, kind of stumbling a little bit. Kind of undecided whether to flee or not with these crows circling overhead. So as you guys fight, you hear this squawking overhead. These trees start to fill up with these spies. And bad guy's turn, right?
Yes.
I believe so. I believe it's those two that are left.
The wolf as well.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Well, I mean, I just got attacked, so I don't know.
Yeah. Their turns are inversed, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So why don't we let you go first, Aravule?
Well, as the wolf jumps up. No. The wolf jumps up and rips a huge hunk of flesh off his leg, and he just swings wildly down at the thing. Yeah. Whiff.
Oh, wary.
You hate to see it.
And what happens is this southerner just like starts to sprint through the snow, through the thicket. Some of the Krebane actually are swooping down, kind of picking at his eyes, but he's trying to get away. But the other treasure hunter, being filled with hate, just tries to finish Arthanur off. He was the one with the dagger too, so...
Hit me first, young man. Yeah, Arthanur just kind of bats him aside and sizes him up for the next strike.
I think you're up again.
Yep.
Rudron, son of Redron.
So Rudran is going to go ahead and take a swing at this wolf here with his long sword.
And that does it. 5, right? Yep.
Correct.
So he's like gnashing at Aravule, kind of almost on him, like almost ready to reach for Aravule's throat. And how do you save Aravule's life?
Rudran, seeing Aravule falling and the wolf climbing upon him, senses obviously that Aravule is in great danger, and he charges his steed forward and swings down at the wolf, slashing it across its back. And oh yeah, that's right, he's on a horse.
Right.
Slashing it across the back, and then just continues on past it as the wolf just whimpers and whines and falls beneath the hooves of Rudran's horse.
He just like tramples over the bloody carcass of the wolf and finishes him off. Aravule.
Aravule turns in excruciating pain and rides over to this guy, swinging down upon him to miss, more than likely.
Could have got that dolph.
And I'm just trying to get the 9. If I get the 9, I hit. But
So, as you dash into the thicket, like these crows are so thick, like they're kind of swarming about you. You can't even barely see, and you swing down at the treasure hunter, and your sword just clings into a tree as you kind of gallop past Arthanur.
Let us see if we can put an end to this folly. Oh, we cannot.
Nope. And so, into the woods, the squid-eyed southerner kind of disappears, and you hear, like, as he gets in the woods, like more squawking of these crows. You actually hear low, deep growls, but you still have the problem in front of you, Arthanur. And this guy with his dagger out goes, "You're going to have to kill me outright, elf. I ain't running. I ain't craving." And he kind of lurches and just stumbles through the snow. It's like stumbles past you, kind of like over to the snow, and falls down.
Yeah, his turn. And look at him as if he is some pathetic thing. And I guess Rudran's going now, yeah?
Yep.
And so Rudran just rides
And
up
his
on
forward
the man.
stance is just going to murder him.
That's right, man. I'm not changing. Just rides up on him and swings down on the man with his...
famous last words.
No!
He's up to the task.
Got him. What's that look like, great and gallant knight?
And so as the man sort of stumbles and fumbles his way past Arthanur, and Rudran, seeing that it's the last of the threat present so far, he just gallops toward him and takes a swing across the man's chest. And as he does so, the man sort of does a very dramatic as his arms flail wildly and circles around and just collapses into the snow along the bank, his blood running into the water.
So the camera starts to kind of fade out from the scene as this guy collapses into the water, and there's this like red blood that flows down to the east. And as the camera fades out, these two clouds of crabine kind of circle, going higher and higher, and you see one fade out to the west, flying with all haste. The other one circles around, and then you can see it, Rudran, from your horse, kind of disappear back to that tower. And then we're going to take it out, I think. And so it was that far to the east, a most hallowed company set out upon a dire errand. They drew their cloaks about them as the December winds of the high moors whipped at their hair and beards as they ascended the long, steep path that led out of the cloven vale of Imladris. They were able to turn back one last time and see the warm, flickering lights of Elrond's home. With them were 9, Aragorn, son of Arathorn, Boromir of Gondor, Legolas of Mirkwood, Gimli, son of Glóin, and Gandalf the Grey. And of course there were those less of stature but no less stout of heart. Even early in the journey, Merry Brandybuck and Pippin Took munched on an apple and a crust of bread. Finally came Samwise Gamgee and the ring-bearer himself, Frodo Baggins. And don't forget Bill the Pony. They left Rivendell no doubt wanting to stay, but the free peoples of Middle-earth were in need. For if the One Ring was not destroyed, it would surely fall into the hands of the enemy, and with all of its power and malice, and all of its cunning, would turn even the most wholesome intentions astray. On this evening of December 25th, the Fellowship of the Ring set forth. Their doom was undecided, and the quest stood upon the edge of a knife. But elsewhere in Middle-earth were heroes and keen minds and valiant hearts. The Fellowship was not alone. And we'll stop it there until next time, as you guys bleed.
Yeah.